Hey everyone, welcome back to another Jazz Drum Q-Tip of the Week. My name is Quincy Davis. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm on a quest to cure the world of all these bad jazz ride cymbal demonstrations. Many of you watching this are just like me. You're always on the hunt for the perfect jazz ride cymbal. Even though I'm happy with the cymbals I own, I'm always curious to see what's out there. Jazz ride cymbals these days are so expensive. $600, $800, $1,000 and up. You can pay $2,000, $3,000, even $4,000 for a really great jazz ride cymbal. The problem is that the demos that people post online make it impossible to know exactly what you're buying. After watching hundreds of bad demos over the years, I've noticed some of the same mistakes happening over and over again. So today I wanted to make a video that breaks down 9 things that ruin an expensive jazz ride cymbal demo. So hopefully this encourages sellers around the world to make better demos and for buyers like you and me to beware of these 9 mistakes. And before I jump into these 9 things that frustrate the crap out of me, and probably you too, I want to remind you, if you haven't already heard, I have a new jazz drum set course coming out this month on July 20th. I actually have a quick preview video that you're welcome to check out. You'll get a great sneak peek and a visual look at the new course. You'll also hear me talk about the different topics that are covered. A link to that preview video along with more information about mastering the swing feel will be in the description box down below. So if you're ready, let's get to work and let's go. All right, so if you're ready for this lesson now, then you need to let me know by saying what? By saying what? Let's go! All right, so the number one offense and thing that really bugs me and gets on my nerves is seeing people sell expensive. We know how expensive jazz ride cymbals are. You could easily pay at least $600, but $800,000 as $1,000, $1,500 and up. But the number one thing that frustrates me is not including a audio sample, or even better if you can have a video. But at the very least, you have to have an audio sample of the cymbal you are selling. It's unacceptable to not, okay? If you're expecting people to pay money for something that is expensive, that they're investing in, that they've saved money up for, and then you don't have any way of showing them what the cymbal sounds like, that's unacceptable. At least include a short clip, whether it's audio or video of the cymbal. You got to do that. And buyers beware. If somebody's selling an expensive cymbal that they claim is all this and all that, but there's no audio sample, no buy, no buy. That is my number 2 offense when making a demo. Roll on the cymbal with mallets. How often does that happen? It happens, but not as often as we play with sticks. So why start the video out with a cymbal roll? As beautiful as it makes the cymbal sound, it's not practical. So that's my number 2 offense. Don't start it out with a roll. In fact, I don't really, this is me personally, I don't really need to hear a cymbal roll with mallets because it's something that I don't do often, and any cymbal is going to sound pretty good when you roll with mallets. How does it sound with the sticks? Okay, that's another one of my frustrations, is starting out on the bell. Now, while you definitely want to know how a cymbal's bell sounds, it's not the number one thing or the number one reason why we buy a cymbal. The main reason why we buy the cymbal is for the sound when we're playing on the main part of the cymbal or the body of the cymbal. So that's where we really want to start all these demos. You definitely want to hear the bell, so maybe put the bell sample later on in the video, and it doesn't have to be terribly long. Since in jazz, we spend most of our time on the main part of the cymbal. This is the meat and potatoes. So that doesn't have to be long, but definitely sample it. Just put it a little later in the demo. I have a question. Who plays the cymbal like that? Nobody. Nobody. That is not how we play a ride cymbal. Therefore, I don't need to hear you in the demo do that. It's very frustrating. What's more helpful is hearing consecutive notes being played on the cymbal, like so. Because then you get to know how the cymbal builds up and holds up over that buildup of quarter notes, right? Does the cymbal wash out? Can you still hear the stick even as the cymbal is resonating? Or does it build up so much that you start to hear just that resonance and you lose the stick definition? But when you do this and then wait, of course it's going to sound good and we're going to be able to hear the stick, but it's not very practical. And it's even better if you can play the jazz ride cymbal pattern. That's even better. Right? That's even better. And this kind of goes into the next point. Only one tempo is played. So in my demos, I'll play it slow. But you should also play it different tempos. So maybe a medium. And then if you can play it fast, do that. Then the buyer knows exactly how the cymbal sounds at different tempos. Obviously, if you're not comfortable playing, right? Maybe some of you selling these cymbals, and I think this is the case, some of you selling these cymbals don't have the technique to do that, and I understand that. Everyone has the technique to at least play quarter notes. So at the very least, let's play quarter notes instead of and wait 5 minutes, then play it again. All right, so this next one is it's just a preference. Maybe not everyone's like me. Again, these are my frustrations. Maybe they're not all yours. But it's nice if we can hear the cymbal being played with different sticks. Right? In this case, I'm playing one wood and one nylon. This is my stick. But even if you play two wood sticks, it's still going to sound really different. And not everyone plays the same stick as you. So maybe you have a heavier stick and then a lighter stick. And that'll kind of give the buyer an idea of kind of the range of sounds that you get from the cymbal from different sticks. It's so much better than, everyone kind of leans towards playing with the bolero stick, the Brian Blade stick. And while it's a beautiful sounding stick on the cymbal, a lot of drummers don't use that stick, right? So maybe don't use your favorite stick. Maybe think about something more general that allows buyers to hear the cymbal in a more general way. And it doesn't force the cymbal into a specific, really kind of niche sound that not everyone's into. Inaccurate dynamics. No one plays the ride cymbal like that. Almost like they're scared of the cymbal. A good default dynamic is mezzo forte, medium. Not too loud, and certainly not too soft. Because what happens when we play it really soft, we don't really hear all the different sound properties of the cymbal. And then when we play it too strong, it kind of distorts all the sound properties of the cymbal. So somewhere in between, a medium or mezzo forte is a perfect dynamic. What are we doing? What are we doing? It's a jazz ride cymbal. It's not meant to be played like a crash cymbal constantly, right? We play the ride cymbal with the tip of the stick. So to all you funk and rock drummers out there doing what I was just doing, treating it like a big crash cymbal, that is not the right way, especially if it's a true jazz ride cymbal. That costs, again, I'm going to keep on emphasizing the cost of these cymbals is really expensive. $600, $800, $1,000 and more, right? And we're treating it just like a big crash cymbal. That is unacceptable. Please don't do that. Please, please don't do that. The cymbal sounds very different depending on where you play it. And that can ruin a jazz ride cymbal demo. Because if you play it too close to the edge, it sounds like that. That's not a cymbal I want. And then if you play it too close to the bell, it sounds like that. So a good jazz ride cymbal generally is going to be played about an inch to an inch and a half away from the edge in general, right? Every cymbal's a little different, but this is usually going to be about the sweet spot right there. You want a good balance of the lows from the edge of the cymbal. Ooh, and you hear the bottom. Right, you hear the low frequencies, and then the highs that emanate from the bell. You want a balance of those. And usually a good balance point is about an inch to an inch and a half away from the edge. Okay? So let's look for that sweet spot on the cymbal that you are playing. Don't assume it's the same place as another cymbal you're playing. But finding that sweet spot is key. Okay, so make sure to look for that spot to make a good or a better demonstration. And the last thing that frustrates the mess out of me is inaccurate audio. When the seller has really, really great equipment, right? Sound equipment, maybe they use Pro Tools or Logic, and they make the sample, the audio sample, and they manipulate the sound to make it sound different and better than the cymbal actually is. Not cool. That's deceiving the buyer. Again, these cymbals are really expensive. We want an accurate example of what that cymbal sounds like. We don't want the audio of the cymbal to be doctored up. That's deceiving the buyer, and you should be jailed for that, actually. Maybe there's a law I can create. I don't know. But conversely, not everyone has high-end equipment, and I get that, and that's fine. So maybe you make a video, right, demo with your phone. That's fine. That is fine. As long as it accurately depicts the sound of the cymbal, then you're good. If it sounds totally cruddy and bad, it's almost unusable because it's not going to give the buyer an idea of what the cymbal actually sounds like in real life. So try to do better. Try to get a little microphone attachment to put on your phone, or just look up different ways, or maybe you just set your phone away from the cymbal further to get a better, general sound, like a room sound of this. I don't know, but you can look up different things on the internet to get a better sound, even with your limited audio equipment. Okay, you owe it, or we owe it, because sometimes they sell cymbals. We owe it to the buyer. Okay, so let's make sure we're doing that. All right, so that is today's lesson on 9 things. I think actually I did more than 9. 9 things at least that ruin an expensive jazz ride cymbal demo. And of course, I cover all these things in my upcoming jazz drumming course, Mastering the Swing Feel. If that interests you, you want to get in now before the launch on July 20th if you want to get a big discount. So the link for that is down below. And that is today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. And until the next time, you guys know what to do, right? You know what to do. Practice hard, but practice smart. All right? Take care. Peace. Bye-bye.